I thought in the final stretch she might eke it out. I didn't expect it to be this resounding, and I think there are some lessons from it.
Takeaway is that the system works. We live in a democracy. People spoke. This is what people wanted. I vehemently disagree with the decision that Americans made.
I think we forget about rural America. I think the working class feels left behind. They feel like the powerful, the elite only care about them and their power. And he spoke to them. We may not have liked his words, but they turned out for him.
I'm profoundly disturbed.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. It's great to be here as always. Thank you for tuning into the VSO Gun Channel. And the meltdown has begun, and I am here for it. We're going to be starting a new series today called the TDS Files, and that is simply you guys find funny instances of people absolutely freaking out about something that probably doesn't directly impact them in an irrational way, and you send it to me, and if it's good, then I cover it. And we'll probably be hitting that pretty hard over the course of the next couple weeks, but hopefully this is a series that runs continuously. And today, what I wanted to focus on was this whole thing about a whole bunch of missing votes. We know where those went. Of course, they can't really go anywhere if they beep. The proof that many people are citing for this is the discrepancy between the attendance of Trump rallies, calling them empty, and Harris rallies, which they say were packed to the gills. And that is just, quite frankly, not reality. That and more after we hear a quick word from today's sponsor. Sites are very much a point of personal preference for people, and my personal preference is for the Big Dot site from XS. Now, they make a whole bunch of different variations out there, but generally speaking, what you're looking at is a photoluminescent ring that charges up with the ambient light, and then a tritium vial in the center, so regardless of lighting conditions outside, there'll be something for you to pick up. Now, I've been working with XS for a long period of time. I was a client of theirs before they were a client of mine, and I thank them very much for being a supporter of the mission here at the VSO Gun Channel for a long period of time. Go give them some love. Now, you guys know me. I have been very critical of Donald Trump in the past, particularly on the failings in his first administration as they pertain to Second Amendment issues. That said, I am not a single issue voter, and I find the team that he has surrounded himself with this time around to be an all-star cast. And I think that there is no one with two brain cells that fire in concert that can possibly disagree with that assessment. That said, there are some figures that are cited, and what I want to do in this video is really just lay it out there so that there is a resource for any of your friends that might be having a hard time right now that are like, hey, you know, this thing, you know, the rallies were so big, how do we... They were lied to. If you're one of those people, you were lied to, and those images that you saw were manipulated. I'm not saying that the images themselves were fake, but the context in which those figures and images were used, they were used in such a way as to enhance the perception of people outside of actual reality. For instance, the Trump team did many, many more rallies than Harris did. And depending on how you count them, Trump's team did 3 or 4 times as many gatherings, we'll use that term, as Harris did. And Harris oftentimes opted for much larger venues, more urban settings than the Trump team did. So for instance, if we look at 2 of them, the Clarkston rally for Harris drew 23,000 people, and the Houston rally drew 30,000 people. But Trump would go to a small town somewhere and draw 5,000 to 10,000 people on average. It depends on which one you're looking at, but the numbers fall squarely in that bracket for the vast majority of his rallies. But there's more. Many of those appearances by Harris were, in my opinion, conducted in a way that a little bit slimy. For instance, the Clarkston rally, 23,000 people came out to that one, but it was really to see Obama speak. And as someone who is finds himself oftentimes politically homeless. If Obama was coming to a venue near me, I might even go see that dude speak, even though I agree with very little of what the dude says, just out of respect for the fact that he's the former president. And even though he was a raving leftist, he was forced to govern from the center. Now, if it was linked to a political season, there's no way I'm walking in that thing because everybody knows what that is. But if he was just speaking on at a local college or something like that, I might actually go listen to the man speak. And I think a lot of people think that way, and they would go see that. Now, given that that is a political season appearance, I think that fewer people are likely to see that. But let's talk, for instance, about the Houston rally, which was actually promoted as a Beyonce event, in which Beyonce didn't actually perform. So 30,000 people showed up to see Beyonce, and then she basically walked off the stage and let Harris speak. And then a whole bunch of people walked out when they figured out what it was. It was a bait and switch situation. So if we look at some of the Trump rallies, for instance, again, 5,000 to 10,000 people would attend any given rally, depending on where it was. You can solidly find the numbers in that bracket, regardless of venue. But for instance, the Butler, PA event drew 24,000 people inside the gate, let alone the people that stayed outside and tailgated. The Wildwood event drew 80,000 people on a beach somewhere, wherever Wildwood is. And the Madison Square Garden rally that just happened like a little bit ago drew 20,000 people. And you might say, well, some of those numbers are on par or lower than what Harris was able to generate. Well, and they say specifically, a lot of them cite the Madison Square Garden one. Well, Madison Square Garden only holds 20,000 people. And in that particular instance, the venue was configured for about 19,000 people, and they were able to cram 20,000 people in there. And that also doesn't account for the tens of thousands of people that hung out outside the venue as well. So when you look at those numbers, you have to consider the context of the venue and how many people could actually fit there and how many people in the given area are even willing to take off work to go there. And then the one that is cited quite considerably is his last rally. And that one happened in Michigan in Grand Rapids. And there was a whole bunch of images of the upper deck empty in that particular venue. And they're like, oh, nobody came to this event. Well, again, context is key. The man was 2 hours late, which I don't really agree with. The thing was supposed to start at around 10, and it started about quarter after midnight. The weather was trash, so a whole bunch of people went home. At least 10,000 people. They don't give an actual number in most sources because they, of course, want to try to hide the number in many instances. But that venue held 22,000 people, and they said the venue was about half full. So you can say about 10,000 people attended that event, again, after midnight on a weekday. And I guess in closing, what this pertains to that I would like to highlight is that there is a media apparatus out there that has gotten really used to controlling the narrative. And you know who they are. We don't need to go down the long list of them, but they have been able to manipulate human perception for far too long. And one of the things that this election was about for me was the right to free speech. And you saw it in a big, big way. If you watched our live stream, there was a point in time where things started to get really hot, and you could feel the internet of the world slow down. Because the internet at large had the entire world not looking at a TV, looking at their phone, accessing network, because they were doing their own homework. They were looking up their own information from their trusted sources, and it wasn't CNN, it wasn't MSDNC, it was independent outlets that were doing it. And that is one of the things that I am very optimistic about that we will receive a positive outcome for in the following administration. And that's all I got for you guys today. Send this out to the people who need to see it. Hopefully we'll see another video here at the VSO Gun Channel. Hopefully some gun content coming here pretty soon.